Audio, and we'll get started. Okay. Do. Seems to be going good. Perfect. All right. Hello and welcome, dear patrons, to the Tables of Tartarus, a chapter of Purgatory Corner. Today we shall be playing Adventure into the End Times with our DM Benny, as I am one of the players, along with Jane, Renegar, and Athel. Come on in, take a seat, and let your imagination run free. And Benny, if you'd like to start us off.
As always, thank you for having me on, and thank those of you joining us. Thank you for joining us. So, our party has discovered some troubling things going on in the world they live in. The two great empires are preparing for a major confrontation and hired mercenaries or sent out a call for mercenaries to participate in this. But the mercenaries didn't just go from A to B. They've been raiding, plundering, and also recruiting along the way. In our last episode, the party came across a city where the residents of the city had basically thrown the gates open and let the mercenaries plunder the wealthier districts. Now, you all have been hired by the prince of one of the great cities to go and witness this confrontation between the two great empires and report back. And what we've been doing the last few weeks, this will be the last time we do this because everybody will have introduced everybody else. Rather than introduce your own character, we'll go around and have each of you introduce someone else. So, I guess we'll start with Jane. If you would please introduce Athel, the goblin druid.
Good job, Aurora. Athel is our lovely, munchy, friendly, pretty smart goblin druid. They have been sticking close to our lovely Noel, helping him through social situations and how to handle life as it happens as we go through. They've had some questionable moments, like eating a zombie, but we pushed through that. Other than that, they're a lovely team member of the group.
Great. And Athel, we'll have you go ahead and introduce Jane.
Athel sees Jane as this, as sort of a someone similar to himself in the grand scheme of things, as a fae entity sort of separated from their whole deal, though he doesn't exactly grasp quite the difference. He's just sort of aware, like, oh, this is vaguely similar, but he doesn't grasp the nuance of it. But even so, he sees Jane as a good ally and sort of the tactical brains of the group, where Athel sees himself as sort of the moment-to-moment wisdom of the group.
Fair. And Renegar, what would Renegar have to say about Gromish?
Gromish is definitely like the big brother. I mean, and he's learning a few new things about life in the rest of the world versus his own clan and the pit. Like in last episode with the with what to do with a surrendering enemy.
All right. And then finally, that brings us to Gromish. What's Gromish's impression of Renegar?
Grommish thinks of Renegar as like a kind of confused folk. Like he's trying to find his way through the world, kind of similar to how Grommish is. And so Grommish is kind of like trying to help him through, kind of similar to as he sees Jane helping him in however Grommish can attempt to help people. So he's trying to show Renegar that There's more to the world than just eating people. There's like drinking. So that's kind of how he sees them.
Very wholesome relationship. All right. So when last we left off, you all had set out on the next leg of your journey, heading north. You're getting pretty close. It's assuming you're not stopped by anything. You've only got a few more days of traveling before you are where you are supposed to go. Now, the countryside here, as with everybody else, everywhere else, has been rather badly stricken by drought. And in addition, you can see signs of the mercenary army having just passed through, including farms having been raided or just completely abandoned. It's a pretty bleak landscape, and now it's just the four of you traveling. You're no longer going with a caravan as you were before. So there's a kind of uncomfortable quiet hanging over the atmosphere just because you have no traveling companions, and there's just as I say, the countryside is all but abandoned. Now, as you're traveling, is there anything in particular any of you are going to be wanting to do or trying to observe or figure out?
Ethel is going to try and sort of forage for like medicinal herbs and stuff, so that if someone gets injured in a fight, he doesn't have to use any magic necessarily to heal them.
All right, so that would be a nature check.
Alright, that is a 17.
17. All right. You don't find nearly as much as you would have expected to find, but just because the area is so drought stricken, a lot of what would normally be growing here isn't. But you do find a few things that are helpful. So you feel like you've added enough to your medicine kit that, for example, if someone were to go down to be in death saves, you could probably stabilize them without having to necessarily use a spell slot.
Cool.
Anybody else doing anything as you go?
Gramish is mostly just going to be singing some tunes, some bar tunes, trying to keep some noise going along. He doesn't really understand the principle of being quiet while walking, so he's just humming some tunes or singing some bar notes as they're walking, making sure that Jane is standing high so she can keep an eye out while he's walking.
All right.
Jane would also be singing along, but also keeping an eye out
All
while
right.
just sitting on his shoulder.
Fair enough.
Landscape-wise, you said it was bleak, but are we looking at like wide grasslands that have been turned to dust, or are we looking at more like forested areas that are stripped bare?
It's forested hill country, so to the east of you, to the west of you is the sea. There are parts along this road where you can see the ocean from where you are. And then to the east of you is forested hills. And what you can see is a lot of the trees have either died or gone dormant, and a lot of the undergrowth is dead, where a few years ago it would have been lush and green.
Okay, so while we're walking through, I think I'd probably be keeping an eye. I'd be keeping an eye out for anyone trying to hide, to sort of ambush us, I guess.
All right. So, what's your passive perception?
It's a solid 11.
Solid 11. All right. So go ahead and make a perception check.
That is a 22.
Okay. Yeah, so you're very confident that nobody's trying to sneak up on you, ambush you, anything like that. And you're more confident than you normally would be because there's not the foliage, the undergrowth, all the stuff that you would be able to hide under or behind in order to set something like that up.
Right.
And on a 22, I'm going to say not all the time, but at points where the road kind of goes up hills and things like that, and you have a little bit further line of sight, you can actually see a slight plume of dust rising up that, since you have something like military experience, it's a good bet that what that is an army, likely the mercenaries, but possibly the Imperial Army, marching ahead and just kicking up dust as they go. But they're a substantial way ahead of you. It would, even if you were moving faster than them, it's going to take you a while to catch up.
All right.
All right. So the day passes pretty uneventfully, and you get to a point where it seems like there ought to be a village somewhere close by, and you don't see anything. When I say you don't see anything, I mean not even the burned out remnants of anything, or not an abandoned village like you did before. And as it's getting on full dark, a rather well-dressed human is going to approach you. Renegar, having rolled so high on your perception check, I'm kind of taking that as your general mood for the day. You're just really alert. You're going to see this person coming from some distance away, and you can tell that he's not armed. And he's going to just wave and greet you and ask if you all are looking for a place to stay for the night.
Athel, having no great concept of the idea of why you wouldn't trust anyone or anything, is just going to be like, oh yeah, that sounds great. Why not? Do you have bread?
We do. So he's going to sort of beckon you, and I know Athel's following him. Whether the rest of the party does or not is completely up to you all.
Gromish
He
would.
actually, what's that?
Gromish would.
Okay.
Jane is going to can I see if he's trying to lie to us or deceive us?
Yes,
like
you
this
can.
could be a trap.
Yeah, go ahead and make an insight check.
I will in a second. It crashed.
I can roll it for you.
Yeah, please do.
That would help.
Okay. Jane. Insight. That would be a 18 for Jane.
As far as you can tell, his intentions are good. I should point out there's not a tremendous amount to insight off of. You've seen a well-dressed human who has told you he has a place to stay for the night, but there's nothing. He's not obviously lying, and he has no obvious hostile intent. And he's going to wave his hand, and this barren, or this not barren, but this dying landscape you were looking at a moment ago in the hill country is going to give way. Even in the fading light, you can make out that this is a very lush little valley with crops growing in the fields. The trees are green. There's grass, and there's a village there. The day is winding down, but like it seems cheerful, I guess. There's lanterns lit and things like that. And the stranger is going to say, "Welcome to Green Meadow. We have to keep ourselves hidden. As you know, armies and things are passing by here. So, fortunately, we have some rather skillful magic users among us." And he's going to just sort of start walking into town.
Whoa. Magic man does magic.
At seeing the sudden change in the landscape and stuff, while Athel is still going along more than willingly, he's going to be rather curious as to why this specific area is doing so well when everything else is dead. Is there any way that he could perhaps use his druidic insight to try and figure that out?
It would be either nature or arcana, whichever one you're good at.
Okay.
Or arcana would tell you if whatever the effect is magical, or arcana would give you information on the specific magic. Nature would just give you more insight onto the natural aspects of what's happening.
I'm going to do arcana then.
Sure.
That's a 15.
15. This is definitely arcane magic, as in magic that a wizard would be using, and it's distinctly not druid craft. It's distinctly not any magic that you in particular are familiar with. So you know of it, you can identify it, but it's not anything you do.
All right, I'm gonna just let the sort of fall back a little bit to the rest of the party, and then just let them know. So making it clear that I'm not hostile in any way, just trying to share information about the place.
All right. Does anybody else want to make any checks or do anything else as you're entering this town?
Gramus, I think, will just be walking. I don't think he has any reason to be suspicious or to investigate anything. Unfortunately, he's not smart enough to see anything wrong with this situation. He's just like, yeah, cool.
Fair enough. All right. So you are led by this person to pardon me 1 second, to a rather cozy little inn that's got 5 tables and fireplace going. There's soup, like a perpetual stew thing going over the fire, and you are brought food and ale. This person's name is Robert, and he's just going to essentially tell you, if you need anything during your stay here, just let us know. You can settle up your tab with the innkeeper whenever you want to leave. We don't have many visitors these days, so you're each going to be able to get your own room, and I promise you the accommodations here are quite cozy.
You are much nicer than past people.
Oh, well, thank you. We've been very fortunate here. As I say, we have a magical tradition in our village, and because of that, we've been able to keep food on the table. We've been able to keep our valley alive, really. So I've heard of you. The stories of the 4 of you are rather recognizable as a group, and the stories of what you did to the mercenaries is now pretty well known. So it is our pleasure to have you in our little town.
I did good. He's like so proud of himself right now. He's like, yeah, did good. I helped.
So serving lady is going to bring all of you large bowls of stew and ale, and each of you, she's also going to bring a plate with just almost like a solid loaf of bread, like a personal sized loaf of bread. And what you're going to notice right away is that for the last few years, because the grain crops have been so bad, whenever anybody has bread, it's always like raisin bread or cinnamon bread, or it has things added to it, not necessarily to improve the taste, but just to make up for the lack of actual grain. This isn't that. This is just, actual bread with butter and stuff like that.
Whoa. It's bread. He's gonna like grab a chunk of it and hand it to Athel. Bread.
Athel is exceptionally happy that by this point and is already going to town on his loaf of bread. Just like it was there one moment and then it was half gone the next.
Fair enough.
So at this point, we're alone. In the tavern, there's really nobody nearby at nearby tables.
There's a couple sitting at one table. They don't look like travelers. They look like farmers, and they seem to be just sitting and talking and sharing a meal at this place. And behind the bar is the tavern keeper and a serving girl who appears to be his daughter. And that's the extent of who's here right now.
I'm gonna have Athel ask, just like, I'm a bit of a druid myself, and I've never seen any sort of magic like this relating to nature that could keep an entire valley alive at once. Do you mind if I ask how you do it?
Now, who are you asking this question of?
The person who led us to the place.
All right.
I believe Robert.
So Robert had actually been starting to kind of take his leave, but when you ask that question, he takes a seat with you all, and he says, "Well, as I said, we have an arcane tradition here," and he's going to hold up his hand, and a little flame is going to appear in the hand, and then he'll just wave his hand and it winks out. He says, I'm a bit of a caster myself, and I'm not the only one here. It does take a lot of work, and I don't know if we'll be able to sustain this indefinitely, but at least for last year and this year, we've been able to keep ourselves going. We've been able to generate enough water. Sometimes we create water. Sometimes we use magic to draw it up from deep in the ground. Sometimes we transport water from the ocean and extract the salt from it. We have various means we use to get enough water going to keep our crops alive and to keep the land here healthy.
Brahmish just gonna slowly push some bread over to him, just like offering him some bread.
So he's going to politely tear off a small piece and just be, he's not going to town on it the way Athel did. He's just kind of nibbling at it. It gives the
pullback spread.
Yep. It gives the vibe of somebody who's already had dinner, but they're eating a little bit of what's offered to be polite.
And just don't start eating your stew.
Fair enough. What is Jane doing while all this is going on?
She would be just content, basically just sitting there listening, looking about, just observing how they do stuff.
Okay.
Because in her mind, it's how she would probably picture what Fae would be like, because she hasn't heard a whole lot of detail about Fae magic or anything, because her herself has a little bit of magic. Like, her shadow would dance without people looking at it, and she smells like cinnamon constantly.
All right. Go ahead and make a perception check, please.
That would be a dirty 21.
Dirty 21. Okay. So what you notice on a dirty 21 is that the man behind the counter is actually working magic, and the magic he is working is a variation of the create food and drink spell, but all he's creating with it is water. So he's basically got a gigantic barrel that he's just filling with water that's sort of appearing out of thin air. And the way he's doing this, he doesn't strike you as someone who's necessarily a caster per se. It's more like someone taught him this particular spell and gave him just enough power to do this one thing.
Does
So that was Jane.
Does Gramish notice anything like odd about like the taste of the food or the texture of it or anything like that? Because I imagine he's someone who like spends a lot of time focusing really hard on the food that he gets, because he probably didn't get a lot of like variation inside gladiator arenas or anything like that.
All right, so that would be either survival or medicine, whichever one you're better at.
They're both about the same, so we'll go with survival. Fits a little bit more thematically for him. That would be a dirty 21.
Dirty 21. All right. So the food is very hearty and it's pretty well seasoned. And most of the seasonings you recognize, there is a flavor that you don't quite recognize. But it's very good.
This is very good. There's a flavor in here. Flavor. What do you add? What flavor?
Oh, there are some flowers that grow higher up on the hill. We collect them, and they give it just that little bit of extra tang to the flavor.
Tasty. Good.
And what, if anything, is Renegar doing?
I'm kind of trying to process right now because everything about this feels off. We just walked in from the wasteland. We've been given bread when everybody else doesn't have it. And so like pretty much every piece of food that's in front of him, I haven't really like tasted it, but I've been like, but like the bread I've broken apart and been sniffing at, and the same with any like stew or ale that's been put in front of us. I don't fully trust it.
All right,
Right.
so you can go ahead if you want to and make the same thing, either survival or medicine check on it.
I am gonna do. Yeah, so we'll do a survival on that one. This feels important enough. I'm gonna use that 1 point of inspiration. So that's a 7 is the highest.
It's fine. There's nothing odd about it. You're not even sure what Grommish was talking about. It's actually, to you, it seems kind of bland. It doesn't have that quite flavor of biting into a still living creature, which is what you lived off of for most of your life.
Yeah, there's still like something's nagging at the back of my mind, like telling me not to trust this for some reason.
Grommish,
So like I'm kind of
him.
playing with the food, making it like I'm eating it, but I'm not.
Okay.
Grommish is gonna look at him and be like, hearty food. Good for belly. Keep strength.
I'm still stirring at this stew that's been put in front of us, and looking around. Feels what is word? Weird. Off.
Has flowers.
Something else.
All right, so at that point, Robert is going to look at you and he's going to say, you know what? Some people would be offended by being refused hospitality. I am not. I understand we are living through hard times, and from what I've heard of you, Renegar, you have had a particularly hard time of it. So enjoy your food if you want to enjoy your food. Otherwise, have a great night. And I do apologize. I have some matters I need to attend to. So if none of you have any further questions, I am going to bid you good night. If you do need anything, though, there's a big house down the lane. You can't miss it. And that is my home. Feel free to knock on my door.
Can I insight that tiny little
Absolutely.
guilt trip that I just got? 13.
13. He's not obviously lying about anything, but there's something this person's not quite telling me kind of a vibe going with this guy.
Yeah. It feels pushy. There's a reason that they're being nice and they're being pushy.
Grommish just gonna like lean over to you as Robert starts walking away. He's gonna be like, food not appealing for a friend?
I'm just kind of giving it a hard look and don't trust.
He's gonna reach into his bag and pull out some of his rations and put it down in front of him. Pretty much just like dried meat and salted stuff. And he's gonna like move Renegar's food in front of himself and start eating it.
Oh, I mow that down easy. I know that's safe.
All right. All right, so you all finish your meal uneventfully, and as promised, when you're done eating, the tavern keeper will invite you upstairs, and each of you has a room, and the accommodations are pretty much, each room is the same. It's got a table, a chamber pot, a basin with water, and kind of a little table where you can wash up in the morning. So the question is, are you each going to reside in your own room for the night, or do you want to do some other sleeping arrangement?
Gromish will be in the same room as Jane.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm actually going to try to convince
I was just going to bring that up.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, this is a new area. We stick together.
Yeah.
Mom
Like-
made sure Gromish promised Jane would be okay.
And you want to do the same thing, Renegar?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So Gromish and Jane are in a room together, and am I to take it that Athel and Renegar are also in a room together?
I'm pushing for all of us to be in the one room, to be honest
Jane
with you.
is going to see that. Well, notice that you're trying to get us all together, and it's like, cuddle puddle.
I'm sorry, I did not understand what you said.
Jane's gonna just announce happily that and say cuddle puddle time, and she's going to grab like
100%
the
give
biggest
that thing
blanket and grab Gromish's hand and Renegar's hand and just like try to sit down and bring them down with her. It's like cuddle puddle. We just all lay together. It's like a giant puddle.
All right, so
Gromish
what's
is so-
Athel's take on this situation?
Sorry?
What is Athel's take on this situation?
Athel is just Athel is like, I'm gonna go get my own room. Thank you very much. I'm not paranoid like the rest of you. So
Friends!
Have you ever experienced a cuddle puddle? It's so warm and cozy. And plus, you're
nope,
safe
and I'm
all the
not going
time.
to today.
You're missing out. Just saying.
Gromish just gonna look at Renegar and like hold out his hand to be like, the strongest of hugs.
I nod with him. Strong.
All right, so Athel, you're taking a room presumably next door, and Renegar, you didn't eat. The other three, I need you to make a Constitution saving throw, please.
Okie
Okay.
dokie.
This just in. Athel is now paranoid like the rest of them.
That'd be a 24. 24.
Okay.
That is a unnatural 20.
Okay.
18 for Jane.
Okay. So what's going to happen to all three of you is that as you start to lay down to sleep, you're going to realize you're feeling a little groggier than you should have for the amount of ale you consumed, or more accurately, didn't consume. You didn't have one of your drinking contests at this. And individually, each of the three of you is going to realize something's wrong.
Do I notice that?
I would say that
Probably
Gromish.
not,
I would
unless
say
they
when
say
Gromish
something.
starts noticing that he's feeling kind of groggy and wavery, because he's had a lot of drinking contests, so he knows what it's like to be drunk. And this is not drunk. He's gonna kind of wait, he's gonna like grab Renegar's shoulder, kind of stabilize himself, and he's gonna go, Goblin! Feels weird. As he's still like walk to the door and kind of opening, it's like, Goblin!
Can Athel hear them from his room?
Yeah, I'd say so.
All right. Yeah. Athel is not doing the particular best themselves. I'd say just overall, and gonna be like, yeah, feeling it too. Feeling it too. Something's wrong.
For a friend. Food. Weird. Is he still like sit down against the door?
All right, and just out of game, you all passed your Constitution saving throws.
Mhm.
I honestly was expecting at least one person to fail it, but so you're not suffering any ill effect of it.
Mhm.
It's more like the feeling of, I don't know, maybe you had a beer at the end of a very long day and didn't realize how dehydrated you were, and it just kind of hits you. So
Mhm.
you're not gonna suffer any poison conditions or anything like that.
Yeah. This is a very weird experience for Gromish, considering how often he's gotten drunk. But he's like, kind of like putting his head in his hands, and he's like,
So
Weird
I'm
food.
noticing how groggy everybody is. I'm gonna try and like herd the three of them together with my big long arms and just sort of like keep repeating together.
So Ethel, you're the only one who is. I'm sorry, Jane. You look like you started to talk. What were you going to say?
Oh, I was just gonna say that Jane is just going to be quiet this whole time and like holding in her stomach, trying not to throw up, and because she's not feeling too great, but for her, this feels like a deja vu if her dad tried to make an alcohol of sorts. So it's not that great tasting.
Fair enough. All right. So Ethel, you were the only one who was separate from the rest of the group. Are you going to just lie down in your own room and try to sleep it off, or are you going to come into the room with the others?
I'm going into the room with the others, and I'm before Ethel wasn't suspicious. Now Ethel's checking for like traps or hidden locks and stuff in the room.
All right. So that's going to be an investigation check.
Okay. That's 16.
So you don't find any traps. You do notice a few things, though. One, what looks like the lock on the door doesn't do anything. It's not actually a lock. Like there's a whole mechanism that looks like it should be a lock, but there's not a lock. Additionally, the room does have a window, and when you look around it, you realize there's a stair. This is on the second floor. There's a stairway going down to a landing outside, and what appears to be the structure of the window is actually a door that opens in.
So Gromish is proficient in medicine. So he's gonna kind of look at probably Jane, and do his best with his remarkably low intelligence to kind of like figure out whether or not like it's a dangerous thing feeling this groggy.
So make your medicine check.
Okie dokie.
Gotta check out for the tiny person because she's tinier.
That's a 9.
Oh,
While they're doing all of this, when we came into the room, did the door to the room open in to the room or out to the hallway?
In.
Okay, so just in case, I'm gonna sort of plop my 400-pound frame in front of the door on the ground. Just to at least slow down half of whoever might be trying to come in.
All right. And Gromish, with your 9, you don't get wrong. I mean, you don't get wrong information. You just don't get any information.
Yeah, that's what I about assumed.
So the people who were coming up the stairs on both sides rolled separately for stealth for both of them, and they got 8 and 3 respectively. So they're trying to be sneaky, and they're really bad at it. And like on the side coming from outside, you can actually hear someone who appears to be at the head of the line going, "Be quiet," but doing it loudly enough that you can hear them doing that. So
Graham was
you know
just,
that someone. Go ahead.
Like Graham was just gonna like shake his head, trying to again clear a little bit of grogginess that he has, and like move over to the window, and kind of mimic Rhaegar a bit, but with his shoulder instead of his back.
Okay.
So these people are coming up the stairs, right?
You hear people coming up the stairs, yeah.
Is there one set of stairs, or are there two, or like how's this laid
So
out?
there's the set of stairs you came up, and then there's the stairs you discovered that this sort of hidden door goes to outside.
And they're coming up from the hidden door one?
Both.
Both. Okay. Can I gather which of the groups is more of a threat? At all? Or no?
Not really, because you don't have any line of sight on either of them.
Okay. So in that case, I'm going to cast Tidal Wave down the secret door. To get rid of whoever is attacking us, because the second they poisoned me, I stopped having any care about these people.
Fair
Fair.
They want water.
Here's some water, baby.
Yeah, so each creature in that area must make a dexterity saving throw, and on a fail they take 48 of damage and are knocked prone.
What's the save?
The save is 13.
All right. So I guess Grommish would be in the best position to see this since you're right by that window. I assume Ath will just open the window portion and cast out the window. And so the two of you are now looking at what appear to be 4 dead villagers at the bottom of the stairs, and several more who are now backing away rather swiftly.
Grom's just don't like look up at Athel, just go surrender, bad guy.
They tried to poison us. People who use poison don't tend to be so honorable as that.
I got this. He's don't like lean out the window. Do you yield? Surrender.
So nobody answers you. A couple of people are still just kind of standing there, sort of glaring up at you, and others have vacated the area.
No. What? What wrong? It's just a shadow.
So Robert, the man you were talking to, is going to walk a little bit closer to the edge of the stairs.
Mhm.
He wasn't in the group that was coming up these stairs, and he's just going to say, "Throw out your weapons and come on out."
I feel like you are failing to understand who is currently in the defensible position with more magic than you here.
So he's going to hold up his hand, and a ball of fire is going to appear in it. And he's going to hurl a firebolt at you. And it's not going to hit you. He rolled fairly low, but it's going to just kind of fly into the window past you and hit the ceiling, which is now on fire.
So, no surrender.
No, buddy. No surrender. Bad guy. Bad guy.
Okay. We'll kill all of you.
Not all. Cat.
Renegar, at this point, you're leaning up against that door. Somebody is trying to open it from the other side, so it's going to be a contested strength check.
I got a 17.
All right, so you're able to hold pretty easily.
Grommish is gonna look at Ranagar, grab his axe, and say, "Move, buddy."
I see where he's going with this. I nod. I motion and I go to grab the door handle to open it.
Nice.
And I look at him, hungry. And I just
No
open the door
surrender.
wide.
As a
All right,
bonus
so-
action, he's gonna move his movement speed forward, so even without using his movement speed, the moment door opens. So
All right, so we're going to go ahead and do it like this. Athel took an action. Grommish is now taking an action. Next up, we'll have Renegar and then Jane, if that's okay. That'll be our initiative order.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay,
that
great.
work?
So with that in mind, Renegar, you're opening the door. Grommish, you're charging and making your attack.
Mhm.
So go ahead and do it up.
Okie dokie. He is going to. He's not going to be raging just yet, so he's just going to be bonus action aggressing, so he's not using any of his movement speed just yet. And he's going to use his Slumbering Dragon's Great Axe, and that is
Okay.
going to be a 26 to hit.
Yeah, that definitely hits. What's the damage?
That's going to be 18 damage.
All right, so the person you were attacking was a peasant who was carrying rope, and it's a group of peasants outside. They have daggers and stuff, but they don't look like they're outfitted for battle. They have like rope and cloth that look like it might be for gagging somebody. So anyway, this person is no more. Would you like to describe how you separate them from this plane of existence?
Yeah, he's essentially, as the door opens, he's going to like shoulder bash the dude upwards and just slash through his body, stare at the rest and say, "Surrender, or like friend, die."
Okay. So there's a bit of a commotion as some of them are trying to run away and some of them are drawing weapons. Nobody's attempting to surrender. So next up, we're going to have Renegar.
How many were down on the ground outside the window?
Robert is there, and there are 3 other men standing with him. And what you can tell right away is that the others, these don't look like peasants. They're a little bit better dressed, and also they're just their general body type and bearing.
All right. I'm going to use my bonus action to rage right now.
Okay.
And I'm actually gonna take and I'm gonna try and grapple one of the and you know what? That's not even there's no real point in that. I'm just gonna take and start swinging at the peasants that are on the stairs in front of us. I get 2 attacks, and I'm gonna take both of them recklessly. If I have more than one in front of me, I'm gonna swing 1 at each one of them.
All right.
So for the first one, that's a 17 to hit.
Definitely hits. Roll up the damage.
I get a D8. And that is 8 slashing damage to him.
All right. So yeah, you basically tear through his torso, and that's it for him.
And I'm gonna go for the other one too.
Okay.
That's a 10 to hit.
That one just misses. He manages to dodge out of the way.
And I'm going to look back to the rest of the party and motion towards the stairs that we need to go.
Roof's on fire.
All right. And Jane, you are up.
Jane is going to try to charm the human,
Robert?
Robert.
Okay. So go ahead. It's some sort of a save against that, right?
Yes. DC 13.
Okay.
Wisdom
So
saving throw.
he just kind of
Saving throw, DC 13.
Yep. So he just kind of shakes his head, and you notice something strange about his eyes, but the charm doesn't seem to have taken effect on him.
Okay. I am going to cast a hunter's mark on him, and then that's it.
Okay. So at this point, the stairway that goes into the inn, several people are now trying to escape, and the result of this is that there's a jumble of people who are falling over each other. I'm not saying you can't go down that stairway. I'm saying it would just be essentially difficult terrain, and some of them might try to attack you as you go. So, with that information in mind, and with the information that Robert and his three companions have not backed down, Athel, what would you like to do?
I'm going to cast Investiture of Ice on myself. So I'm, well, this one's probably useless, but I'm immune to cold damage. I can move across difficult terrain without expending extra movement. But the big one is the ground in a 10-foot radius is icy and is difficult for hostile creatures. But my hope is that the burst of cold might deal with the flames.
Okay. Cold might deal with the flames. Not really, because there's no water happening here. The fire is starting to spread. I mean, it's the ceiling and presumably now the roof that's on fire. It's not an immediate danger to you.
Okay. How far away is Robert relative to us then?
He's out the door and down the stairs, so call it 20 feet.
All right. I'm going to move 10 feet towards him. And then I'm going to use the bonus action for the first turn of the spell. I create a 15-foot cone of freezing wind extending from your outstretched hand in a direction I choose. Each creature in the cone must make a Constitution saving throw of 13.
Okay. One of them failed, the other three succeeded. What happens?
They take... the one who failed takes 16 damage, and that creature's speed is halved, and the rest just take 8 damage with no speed malice.
Okay. So the one who failed is like visibly shivering and clearly in a lot of pain. The others are still up.
I'm just gonna shout as I did that. You made the bread betray me! You will pay for this crime!
Like it.
And that'll be the end of my turn.
All right. So next up, that brings us to Gramish.
Gramish is going to recognize that there are a lot of people clamoring down for the stairs. Also the fact that they pretty much are all running away at this point. And to him, it's not quite a surrender, but it also he doesn't feel like it means he should keep attacking. So he's going to look up at the fires licking the ceiling. He's going to look at Rhaegar and say, "Down the stairs. Fight through the one burning the house." And he's going to turn around, pick up Jane, put her on his shoulder, and then start running for the stairs that Athel is standing at.
All right. Just want to check in. Jane, are you okay with this happening?
Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Figured you would be, but always
Yeah.
like to check in and stuff
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
fine.
And he's going to...
She's probably gonna have her bow like ready just in case.
There.
and try to shoot at something as they're going, but that's about it.
Yeah, he's don't say as he picks her up, "Hold on, little mama." As he's essentially going to get to the stairs, and instead of going down the stairs, he's going to jump over the railing. So you can hit the ground.
Okay.
Is that athletics or?
I'm going to say it just happens. I mean, you're just...
Okay. Just want to make sure. But so he's going to hit the ground, turn, and look at Robert, and essentially kind of like crack his knuckles and say, "You tried burning down the house. No one burns down house. Friends inside. You die." And
Can Jane take a shot at this moment? Once you're done talking, of course.
yeah, that was his movement action. And so he's going to bonus action rage to get up another 6.5 feet, and then he's gonna hold his action.
Sure, we'll let Jane have a shot at Robert while all this is happening.
Okay.
Natural 20. It's 28.
Okay. And I believe because of your subclass, you also, in addition to the piercing damage, there's some psychic damage that comes with your attack.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There
So
it is.
go ahead and roll your damage, because that definitely hit.
That's 12.
12 damage.
And then her psychic damage on top of that, and then critical damage. Psychic damage is another 1d4. And then, do you do double dice for criticals, or do you do...
Typically double dice.
Okay, double dice, cool. Hold on just one moment then. Um... 29 damage.
Okay. So, yeah, you basically put this arrow right through Robert's forehead. And instead of falling, though, his form starts to change. And what replaces it is this hulking brute about Gromish's size in Gromish's enlarged form.
Ooh.
Oh no.
And he's just going to like slam his... the proportions are like a gorilla, and he's just going to and he's got these massive tusks coming out of his mouth and huge sharp fangs, body covered in orange fur and glowing red eyes, and he's just going to slam his fists on the ground and say, "Want meat?"
Ooh.
Renegar, you're up.
That's when I step onto the top of the stairs, looking at this massive form, and I look at him saying, "Me too," and I jump off of the top of the stairs as hard as I can, and I'm not sure if I could grapple something this big, but like, sort of the same idea as grappling onto him.
Shadow Colossus style.
I'm trying to pounce at him from where I am, because I figure at his height I should be able to reach this now.
So you can definitely reach him. If you're trying to grab on and in some way restrain him, that would be an athletics check. If you're trying to just like rake your claws down him as you land on him, that would be a straight attack roll.
I think I would know better than try and like hold down something bigger than me.
Okay.
And yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to take that flying leap from the stairs, and I'm gonna take all 3 of my attacks at this thing. I'm basically trying to use my claws as I climb down 3 times.
Gotcha. Okay. Make your attack rolls.
Let's see, that's an 18 on the first one.
18 does hit.
And 23 for the second one.
Yep.
And natural 20 on the third.
All right. Go ahead and roll up all your damage for all of that.
All right, so let's see, that's 1d8, 1d8. Hold on. I have to dig into the magic bag of dice now.
We are really not happy that our bread was poisoned.
I fucking knew it!
Fuck
This is
you.
the I told you so rage.
All right. All right, so let's see. So the first attack is 13 slashing damage. And then 9 slashing damage. And then for the crit, it's another 13 slashing damage.
Okay. That is rather a lot of damage. Jane, you are up.
Jane's just going to point and shoot repeatedly.
Ramesh will
Solid
probably
roll.
also tell you, he'll probably go, "Little mama, move to stairs." Whether or not you take his advice is up to you.
Yeah. So, wait, does that mean I have to jump off of you?
His hand basically just moves to the stairs as a simple run over
Oh,
to it.
okay.
It's
So
considering his
Jane
size.
is just going to slide down and go
Okay.
to the stairs.
Cool. And then
All right. So that's your movement. Are you going to make any attacks or anything like that?
Yes.
Okay.
I got a dirty 20.
Dirty 20 hits.
That's going to be 7 piercing damage.
What about Hunter's Mark? Isn't he Hunter's Marked?
yeah, that
Yes.
she got a +1
Yeah.
on the Hunter's Mark because she rolled a 1 and then 1d6.
Yeah, it's a little sad.
Yeah.
So now it's their turn. The the one who was the most hurt by Athel's spell is going to just kind of rub his face, and the human form you were looking at falls away to reveal a almost insect-like creature, humanoid, but the eyes are bulbous. It has tentacles, and it's going to look up at Athel and cast an Eldritch Blast at you.
Ooh.
Oh, God. Man.
Does 12 hit your AC?
12 does not hit my AC.
All right. And the other one is going to go. Actually, Grommish, you're the only one who's going to understand. Or not Grommish. Renegar, you're the only one who's going to understand this because they're talking in Abyssal. And it's going to say, "Idiot, help the boss." And that one is going to put a hand on the big guy. And he will recover some of his health. And then the last of them is going to put his hands together. A ball of magical force appears in his hands. He's going to look at Grommish, look at Renegar, and then look at Jane and target the smallest person with this, because that's his quality of his courage. Jane, does 15 hit your AC?
Yep, just hits.
All right, so that's 6 points of force damage. And the big guy is going to attempt to grab Renegar. So, Renegar, this is going to be a contested strength check.
Oh. I got a natural 20.
All right. So this guy basically grabs you and tries to pick you up, and you're able to kind of shake him off. And when you do that, he is going to roar, and he's just going to punch you. So I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that a natural 20 probably does in fact hit your AC.
Well, I mean, with my level 4, I suddenly went up to...
And so that's 16 points of bludgeoning damage.
Okay, it's only 8 now.
All right, and with that, we're back to Athel.
All right. So seeing, oh god, the names always trip me up. Renegar is the one in direct close quarters, right?
Yeah.
Renegar is the one who was just grappling. Yep.
Yep. I'm going to cast Enhance Ability on Renegar. And I'm going to choose the Beast Endurance effect. So you now have advantage on all Constitution checks, and you gain 2d6 temporary hit points.
Damn.
It doesn't say if I roll them, so...
Hey, if you want to roll them, I don't mind.
Alright, I'll do it. That is a solid 6 temporary HP.
That is good stuff right there.
All right. Is there anything else you're doing this turn, Athel?
No.
All right. Grommish, we're back to you.
All right. So, Grommish is going to put back his axe, and kind of like flex out his gauntlets, and he's going to attempt to do an attack action to shove the creature, which is, I believe, athletics versus athletics.
Correct.
Okay, and then I believe I get advantage because I'm currently raging and it's a strength check.
Okay.
That would be a natural 20, 27.
All right. So you shove the creature and it falls prone.
Nice.
We need to go out and buy some lottery tickets tonight, guys.
I know, right?
We're
so,
using up all the luck. That's the problem.
so since it is now prone, he's going to use his bonus action to use his left hand to punch it in the face.
All right. So since it is prone, you'll be rolling that with advantage.
Yep. Let's see. It's his armored, I believe. Yes, that's his armored. Okay. Attack with advantage. That would be that'd be a 10 to hit.
All right. So yeah, you push it onto it, basically push it onto its butt, go to hit, and the hand just comes up, catches it, shakes its head.
Well, the idea of Grommish just standing over and he like grabs his hands like, come here. All right, that'll be his turn.
Renegar, that's going to bring us to you.
I'm gonna keep attacking. I'm gonna wipe away the little bit of blood from that punch. Look up and just flip this guy off and just go right in for it.
Okay.
With a that's a 22.
That hits.
A 14.
14 is not.
And then, come on. And then 20.
20, so go ahead and roll
Three.
the damage for the 2 attacks.
Nice. See, it's these little puppies here. All right. Let's see the first one. So the first one is 8 slashing. And the last one is another 8 slashing.
All right. Renegar, I'm going to need you to make a dexterity saving throw.
I make this one at advantage. 18.
All right. So the good news is you succeeded on your dexterity saving throw. So you're only going to take 8 damage from the hellish 8 fire damage from the hellish rebuke that he cast on you. Flames appear around you and then close in around you, and you're able to jump out of the worst of it, but you're still a little singed.
And this is why I thought it was a good idea to give some temporary hit points out.
You know what? That was a damn good idea. I tell you what.
And I believe that's going to bring us to Jane.
Jane's just gonna keep continuing shooting at the now giant.
So normally at the range you're at, it would be disadvantaged, but because the target is so big, you just go ahead and make a regular shot.
Yeah, that's a 9 to hit. Attempt to hit.
So with one hand, he's still holding Ramish's fist. The other hand catches the arrow.
Yeah, that's a flat, lovely nat 1 I rolled for attack, so Jane doesn't hit anything.
2 of you are fighting Ip Man.
All right. So he's going to let go of your fist, Gramish, and he's going to smile this gigantic smile with these huge, sharp teeth and tusks. And then he and the other 3 are all going to disappear.
Huh.
Jane's gonna yell. It's like, buddy, quick, pick me up, pick me up.
All right, so before anybody can do anything, Renegar, I'm guessing 26 hits your AC.
Oh.
It does.
Oof.
So it's going to be 6 bludgeoning damage. And when you look back, what happened was this guy turned invisible, moved around behind you, and hit you in the back of the head.
Raggedy bitch. And this was the big guy, right?
That was the big guy. He gets another attack, but he's no longer invisible, so it won't be at advantage. But he did roll 19.
Damn it.
And that's going to be 10 bludgeoning.
Beat.
Ouchies.
It's all right. It only counts as 5. Barbarian math.
The best math.
All right, so Jane, I'm confident that a 24 hits your AC.
Yeah, it does.
And one of the other ones is going to have just appeared in front of you and stuck you with a dagger.
Oh.
Ow.
But it only does,
Tiny for them.
it does 4 points of damage. Grommish, I'm guessing 21 hits your AC.
Indeed.
And it's another one of the little guys slashing at you with a dagger. It's 4 points of damage. He's basically just stabbing at your calf. And when he sticks the dagger in and realizes how little damage he done, you're going to look down at him and you're going to see he's just having that moment of rethinking every life decision he's made up to this point.
Yeah. Gosh, barely notices.
And then the last one is going to, I think the last one is going to go for Grommish as well, just because you're the biggest thing around, you're the biggest target. Does 16 hit your AC?
It does not.
Okay. So you feel something move past you and you see the guy appear, but he somehow managed to miss you. And with that, we are back to Athel.
Ah, lovely. All right. So with the temporary hit points used up on Renegar, I believe, God, where is it? All right. I'm going to cast the. Oh God, the spell with the acid claws. I'm struggling to find it, but you know. And at that point, I'm going to move in to swing at the nearest one of the bigger guys.
Okay, so there's only one big guy and then there's 3 smaller guys.
Oh, okay, in that case, I'm just going to completely obliterate a smaller dude.
All right, so you're going after the one that's in front of Jane.
Yeah. Okay.
I believe it's called Primal Savagery, Ethel.
Thank you. I kept looking for a spell with acid in the name.
All right, so go ahead and roll up your attack.
Yep. Let's see. Roll. That is a 15.
15 does hit.
All right. So that is. Oh wow. So that is a total of 12 points of damage. And that's acid.
Okay. So yeah, that's a pretty horrific slash you managed to put on this person. This insectoid demonic creature. Are you doing anything else this turn?
Nope.
All right. Grommish, we're back to you.
All right. Grommish, seeing Ranagar continuously getting the living crap kicked out of him at this point, is pretty much just going to ignore the tiny people. Like they've nicked him at this point. They're not even in his mind, as he just starts. What he's going to do is he's going to drink one of the potions. No, we don't need that right now. He's going to run forwards towards the big guy and do his action attack and then bonus action secondary attack.
Okay.
Just pretty much going to be running and clobbering him, or attempting to. So we're going to... Oh, wait, that's a natural 20 for his first hits, for his actual attack.
All right.
Good lord. Then his second is going to be a 16 to hit.
16 does not hit, but natural 20 definitely does.
Okie dokie.
So basically,
natural...
you basically just crack this guy, but you crack him so hard that he's reeling away from the punch and you miss the second one.
Yeah, so that's going to be a 20 damage, bludgeoning, straight to the face.
All right.
And don't you worry about that second attack, because I can fill in the space. I can fill in the space because I saw the critical.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, you know.
Yeah, use that reaction.
And yeah, this is gonna be reckless. I'm going with the claws on this one. That is a 21.
That hits.
And 8 slashing damage. Trying to hamstring the sumbitch.
All right,
Absolutely
so
brutal.
he's not looking great at this point. And Renegar, it's actually now your turn.
I'm gonna just follow up. I'm gonna go all in. 3 more reckless attacks. That's 19.
That hits.
Oof. 11.
11 does not.
And 21.
21 hits.
And yeah, this is all claws. I'm not even bothering with biting him.
All right.
Awesome. I get 10 slashing on the first one and 7 slashing on the second one.
Okay. So he's really hurt. He's swaying on his feet. Jane, that's going to bring us to you.
Jane is going to continue her shooting, and that's going to be a dirty 22 to hit,
Definitely hits.
and that's going to be 9 piercing.
Guy in front of her is just like, focus on me, and she's like, no, fuck you.
So basically, this guy's swaying, and as he turns toward you, you take your bow shot, and it goes right into his throat, and he just coughs, drops to his knees, and slumps to the ground. And it's going to be the other dude's turn. So the one in front of you, Jane, is definitely going at you, and that's going to be a hit for 6 damage.
Okay.
Another one is going to go after Renegar. He's going to go roll a natural 1. So basically, he just takes a running, charging stab at you, and you just kind of gently step aside and watch him run into the side of the building.
Poor bastard.
Why not? I'm treating that like it's falling damage, so he takes 2 points of damage from his own failure. Then the last of them is going to attack Gramish. Does 14 hit your AC?
No.
All right. Back to the party. So it's going to be Athel first.
Cool. So, I am going to cast Primal Savagery again and go for whichever of the little guys is still up. And
Okay. So the one you hit before is still in front of you.
Okay. So, swing. That's going to be a 19 to hit.
Definitely hits.
Oh. And that's going to be 9 acid damage.
Describe how you dispatch this person.
I'm just going to take a swing at his throat, and the acid is just... The acid plus the swift movement is just going to decapitate the dude.
Okay. That's going to bring us to Gramish.
Gramish is going to kind of see the guy fall down in front of him, and then turn and look at the guy who rammed himself into the wall. Slightly confused as to why he's now inside of a wall, but he goes and pretty much grabs him, picks him up, which I believe would be a contested athletics.
Yes, and you're doing so with advantage because your side is larger.
Okay. That's a 22.
Definitely succeed. So yeah, you've now essentially got this guy by the scruff of the neck.
And he's going to be like, do you surrender?
He's just jabbering in Infernal or in Abyssal, which you don't speak.
Doesn't sound like surrender. And he's going to look at the guy who has stabbed Jane repeatedly now, and he's going to go...
Sorry, the one who stabbed Jane is the one that Athel just took out.
Oh,
so Jane
okay.
and Athel are essentially side by side on the stairwell.
Okay, so you just don't see him kind of dead and go, oh.
There's
And you just don't
one
look at
other
the one that
who
stabbed
still
him in the foot.
Yeah.
Just go, he'll do, and he'll yeet him at the guy.
Improvised weapon attack.
Alright, I'll be, let's see, /R. 1d20 plus 5. That'd be an 18 to hit.
All right, so I'm going to treat this like it's falling damage, and they're both going to take it. So roll 2d6s and add your strength modifier.
Okay.
Add your
2d6.
2d6s. Add your strength modifier to one roll, and then roll another d6 and add your strength modifier to that roll, and tell me
Okay.
both of those numbers, because it's like each one of them's getting attacked in this move.
Yeah. Okay, 1d6 plus 5. First one is 6 damage. The second one is a good 9 damage.
Okay. All right.
Bouncing the both of them off the ground.
All right. So one of them, the one you threw, is now prone. The other one is still standing but hurt. And that brings us to Renegar.
The standing one. I'm gonna leap at him. I'm gonna leap at him and try to grapple him. I want to bring him to ground.
Okay.
So that's contested.
Yes.
Does a 15 do it?
Actually, no. He manages to shake you off.
Damn. Do I still have my bonus action here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll still take one trailing swing at him while he's standing there.
Sure.
$13. I don't think that hits. Does it?
13 does just hit.
Oh. Sweet.
Squish.
It is a 5 slashing damage.
All right. Still up, but not looking good. And I believe that brings us to Jane.
Yep, she's just gonna continue trying to finish off the giant.
The giant's
Okay, the
dead.
giant's already down. Yeah, you brought him down the last time.
Oh, okay. Then she's just going to take aim at the next alive enemy, I guess.
All right. So the one that Renegar is tangled up with is not prone, so you can take a regular shot at that person if you want to.
Okay.
That would be a...
Give me a sec.
Oh.
While all this is going on, you're noticing some of
yeah.
the villagers are starting to kind of peek out from around corners, and they're sort of gathering to watch what's going on, and there's a lot of concern in their faces. Jane, what did you roll?
I rolled a dirty 27.
Okay, describe how you take out the one that's engaged with Renegar.
Jane is going to yell out to Renegar. It's like, watch out! And just plant a shot somewhere on him. I don't usually do details on finishing blows.
Fair enough. So Renegar, you turn, look back just in time to see this arrow whiz right past you and into your enemy, who crumples. Now, the last of them is kind of holding up his dagger and in a shaking hand, and he's kind of pointing it at each of you in turn, but doesn't quite know what to do. And at this point, an older gentleman from among the villagers is going to shout, "Stop!" And he's going to step forward. From what any of you can see, he's not armed, and the way he's dressed, he appears to be a farmer.
Mhm.
And he's going to say, "Their magic is what's been keeping us alive. You already killed 3 of the 4 of them, including the most powerful one. If you kill this last one, we will not have water for our crops."
Grommish will put his hand on Rangar's shoulder. They put dizzying in our food. They did not surrender. Does he surrender?
I mean, did I hear him surrender at all?
No.
So that's, yeah, he's saying to the old man as well. It's like, and then seeing that Rangar, he shakes his head, I'm like, we don't kill for fun. They came at us. We defended. He kind of like looks at Rangar for a second. Groggy. Your
All right,
village.
So I'm still going to take this in initiative order. Actually,
Yeah.
we're out of initiative order, but am I correct in understanding that Grommish is kind of taking a contemplative approach for his action, trying to logic it out with the party?
More or less, and he's holding Rangar on the shoulder as well, because last time we tried doing this, Rangar kind of ate the guy, so he has a pretty firm grip on Rangar's shoulder.
Okay. So that's what you're doing. Athel, you've heard all of this. You're watching what's happening. You're seeing what Grommish has been saying. What are you doing in this moment? Are you sort of standing down and let this demonic insect creature go for the moment? Are you going to take an action? Are you going to try to talk your companions into doing something?
Can I try to understand the nature of how this being has been keeping the valley alive? Because that kind of changes how I deal with the situation.
So, from what you're able to gather from the situation, these demonic creatures were using their magical powers to bring water to the place, and the price of that was that the townspeople were feeding them travelers.
Athel's just going to shake his head and say to the party, they might have been dependent upon these creatures for keeping them alive, but while it kept them alive, it didn't keep the dozens of other people, maybe hundreds at this point, that have been sacrificed to these things. I hardly think that they deserve fresh water if it's made from human blood.
All right. So now we're on Renegar's turn. You've heard essentially the argument for and against. You've got the same options. You can philosophize about it, you can just stand down, or you can make an attack.
Would I be able to duck out of Gromish's grip to do this?
So, Grommish, if Renegar attempts to duck out of your grip, are you going to let it happen, or are you going to try to stop him?
He would probably try to stop him, so I would assume contested athletics.
Right. It would be contested athletics, and I think you're both still raging, so you would both roll with advantage. If you want to do it, go for it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm pretty much just gonna be shrieking out at him that how hungry I am.
Yeah, it's gonna be a 22 high for Grommish. He's keeping you down if your one's lower.
You just beat me with a 20. All I got is a 20 here.
All right, he's keeping you in place. He is not letting you move.
All right, so that was your bonus action. you can try to break free again as an action if you want to. And
How close is this guy to me?
like 10 feet away.
Shit.
You could also attempt, you can get a little bit creative. I don't know if you have anything on you that you could throw. If you try to break free, Grommish isn't going to roll again. He's already used his reaction holding you, so the DC wouldn't be as high.
But it would be the entire turn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because this guy hasn't surrendered, and I'm not finished with him yet.
Okay. So go ahead and roll again with advantage.
That is another 20.
All right, so that is going to get you out of it. So basically, Grommish, you're holding him. Renegar pulls and almost slips out. He pulls again and slips out, but he's now, instead of attacking the enemy, he's kind of focused on you and does not look happy. Jane, what are you doing?
Can I try to charm Renegar into stopping?
So this is where we need to do kind of a consent check. Renegar, are you
That's
okay
fine.
with a teammate doing something
Trying
like
to
that?
stop you.
Yeah. Because if you're not okay with it, it doesn't happen. I don't really care about game rules.
I mean, basically after I got out from underneath Grommish's grip, it was a full charge.
Yeah, so it might. We can flavor it as like train. You just don't hear Jane at all.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're way too focused on. Yeah.
Okay. So at this point, the creature is actually going to, seeing Renegar has made this very aggressive move toward it, it's going to do the smartest thing it could possibly do in this situation and step forward and attack Renegar. And it's going to miss. He rolled a 4. So, Grommish. I'm sorry. You know what? I'm wrong. It's Athel's turn.
Yeah, so with that attack, Athel's gonna do another primal savagery on this thing.
All right. So, Athel's on the stairs, so I'm kind of picturing this as something where Athel jumps off of the stairs onto Grommish, onto Renegar, and then pounces down onto the attacking creature. And go ahead and make your attack roll.
That's going to be a natural 20.
And y'all thought I was committing the war crime.
You know what? We tried.
Goblin, man.
Jane and Grommish are trying so hard to just keep things peaceful.
So, Renegar, you're all set to attack this thing. And just before you can even quite know what happens, your little tiny buddy, who you think of as the person you have to protect, jumps on you and then jumps off of you. And there's just this spray of the thing you were going to hit landing in pieces among these horrified villagers. And you're just kind of like, dude, too much. Or I don't know. How would Renegar react? You tell me.
I'd be shocked at first, but I'd be excited about this.
And Renegar specifically, you would have noticed that after you pulled away from Grommish would have not made a move towards you in order to grab you again. He would have just like you got off his grip. He's like, okay, and he's still focused on the elder man. And as the spray pattern of the insect comes out, he just goes, "If you had surrendered, death." No. And he's just gonna like kind of turn to the big body thing, and he's gonna kind of like grab its shoulder, and like kind of lift on its shoulder. He's like, bury the dead. Start walking towards probably a small hill to the side to pretty much bury the ginormous guy.
Yeah, I've got the whole football celebration going on with Athel right now, just like.
All right. So the villagers are looking at this. The entities that were bringing water to their village have now been dispatched. Their inn is on fire, and some of them are establishing a kind of bucket brigade, but there is just an overall shock and horror about them at this whole situation. They're not doing anything, though. They clearly know that they are in absolutely no position to challenge you all physically. So you bury the big guy. You bury the little guys, or as much of the little guys as you can find pieces of. And the villagers are going to go about taking care of their dead, because you had also dispatched several villagers in this process. And there's no inn to make camp in, but you all are able to make camp in the forest without being bothered.
Before we go into the forest and after we've buried the bodies and stuff, and Rangar has moved back down to his phone. The entire time he was burying the big guy, by the way, he was like very clearly still very angry. But after you bury him, he kind of like goes back to his normal form, and then he starts kind of making his way to the elder that had talked previously. Assuming he can find him.
Yeah, you can find him.
Okay, he's gonna walk over and is he like kind of a Gromish's size-ish, or is he like gnome size, or like what's the height?
So he's a human, so he's just under 6 feet tall. He's not gnome size, but he's not as big as you are. And
Okay.
he's clearly intimidated by you as you approach, but he's not making any move to escape.
All right, he's gonna like walk up to him, and look him dead in the eyes. It's only a slight height difference, so he's like looking dead in the eyes, and like he kind of folds his arms and he goes, "Deals with he says devil in orc, basically, because he can't find out the word in common. Bad plan. Killing. Especially unwilling. No. You've heard tales of our group. He kind of like takes a moment to kind of like compose himself almost. He's clearly very irritated by this situation. He goes, take pride in survival, but not cost of life. Fix this. Do better. Move on. And then he's just gonna wait a moment to see if the elder responds before leaving.
It's very easy to say something like that to someone when you've never had to explain to your grandchildren why there was no food.
Explain to grandchildren how you make food. Which is harder?
At that, can I have Athel interject here? If not, I'm fine with that. But.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and Athel's going to respond to the elder's comment with, and yet you're perfectly fine forcing grandchildren of others to go hungry because you killed their breadwinner, or because they're now orphaned.
Well, the price of you all surviving tonight was that we die. The price of us surviving this long was that other people died. I'm not angry at you, and I'm not judging you, and if I was you all, I would be mad at me too. As a matter of fact, if I was you all, I would be burning this village down. So I'm not judging you, and I'm not particularly bothered that you're judging us.
Grom's just gonna like take a moment. He doesn't quite know, like, obviously, like, half that sentence probably went through his head, but he's just like, Judge. He's gonna like look at Athel for a second. I mean, I'm like asking him like, what does judge mean? He hasn't heard that question. Hadn't heard that word before.
To decide on someone else's morals is how Athel's going to explain that.
Not judging. I want survival. In a way everyone lives. It's hard to live. He kind of gestures to the barren ground. Dirt, not good. But there are cities, village. Difficult journey, but better than explaining to young. Food is death. Death food is not good. They would not want to live at the cost of death. No one does.
So the elder is going to look at the two of you and he's going to say, I can't argue with anything you're saying. We made our decision, we made our bargain out of desperation. And desperation does not breed wisdom. Fare you well, travelers. And with that,
Gromer's
he's
still
gonna-
get kind of like a solemn look on his face before he just gently puts his hand on the guy's shoulder. Very clearly, not like a aggressive movement. Even his body language is saying it's more of a somber movement than it's angry. He's gonna put his hand on the shoulder and say, "To survive, do better. Come find us. I hope to see you again in better light."
Well, you four will always be welcome here because everybody here is too terrified to do anything but welcome you. True.
Okay, I know that Athel's been like the source of wisdom up until this point, but at that point, Athel is just going to burst out laughing. They are still a goblin at heart.
Gromer's
Jane
legitimately
is-
looks at him in like sheer confusion.
What's Jane doing?
Jane is going to. She's still kind of cute
Mhm.
at the whole situation. She's just gonna walk up, head down, not making eye contact, and just say, "It's like, Grandma's just right. My buddy is correct this time. People shouldn't go without food, especially from a bad situation. You guys could do better. You should have been better. Here's a card to my mom's inn. She can take care of you and help you on your feet, and that's it. But you guys need to grow yourself and do better instead of relying on creatures that kill for no reason at all. We came here because we were welcomed and we were mistreated." And then she's gonna walk off because she's upset. She was raised in an inn. She knows how to take care of people. Once you were welcomed into their place of home, you do not disrespect the guests. So she's pretty upset with how they, basically how they were hosts.
As she walks off, Gromer's just like nods, and without even looking at the elder Bray caring for a response, he's gonna like offer a hand to Athel as a gesture of "let's go" kind of thing.
Yeah, Athel's gonna take that.
And he's just on start walking.
All right. What's Renegade doing while all this is going on?
I've just been watching this whole thing happening. Not really sure how to react. Definitely glaring at the elder. But not really sure what not really sure of not really sure of what to say because I'm not well spoken in common right now.
That's fair. So I'm going to just do a quick round of how everybody's feeling at this moment. And if I get it wrong, tell me. Yeah, feel free to correct me. Gramish, you seem to have a code of honor that centers around just combat might be a thing. Combat to the death might be a thing. But tricking people, poisoning people, like this is just way out of the bounds of anything you would consider honorable or acceptable. Jane, for you, it goes even a little bit deeper. You were raised with a sense of hospitality as being part of your family's livelihood and almost a religious conviction for you, and you've seen that bitterly violated.
Yeah.
Athel, as a goblin druid, this isn't necessarily that far out of the realm of something goblins might do, but the particulars of it were so horrific, and the fact that it was directed at you isn't helping anything much. Do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, with Athel, part of it as well is Athel likes to see themselves as sort of like very refined and such, thanks to their being in tune with their Fey ancestry, and so just seeing such primal savagery for the sake of survival makes it fundamentally unsettles Athel in a big way.
And then
Like
finally, okay, thank you for that. And then finally for Gramish, there again, you're from a Knoll tribe, but Knolls, if they want to kill you and eat you, they just do that. There's not all this pretext and subterfuge and deception, so it's a little bit beneath you guys.
Yeah. I mean, once the fight started, somebody was getting eaten as far as I was concerned.
That's fair.
Yeah, Gramish having grown up in a gladiator arena, death is just something that happened. It was not really celebrated. It was not really a big event. You bury those who died because it was often honorable combat, especially with the way that the gladiator arena was. So if someone died, it was like, cool, they died. If they lived, it was kind of more spectacular event. But to Gramish, it's nearly unthinkable, the idea of subterfuge. He doesn't understand the subtle hints of poison, of death, of making deals. The idea of winning a fight in a not fair way is almost insulting to him, and like almost a primal level in his opinion. It's like it's something he just doesn't process. He believes fundamentally that there is always a better way, and if you have to explain to someone that the way you won is by having outside help in a gladiator arena, you're basically forfeiting all of your glory and all of your honor, and that's not something he ever thinks of doing. It's almost unfathomable to him and makes him severely irritated.
That's fair. Right. So you all make your way out of the village, and the countryside beyond the village is as barren as the countryside before the village was, so you don't have much trouble finding an abandoned farm where you're able to make a fairly secure camp for the night. And that seems like a good place to leave our story for tonight. So the next time we meet, you all will have had the benefit of a long rest. You all will also be level 5. And something you're going to notice, Gramish, with your axe, is the dragon on the axe is going to start to subtly move, and the eyes will flutter open from time to time before going back into sort of stirring, restless slumber. And in mechanical terms, you've gone to the next level of that magical item.
Sweet. All right, cool. Yeah, so hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. If you guys did, because it was a very wonderful one, feel free to come check us out next week at 4:30 p.m. PST on Wednesdays. Also, go check out the social link tree I just sent in the chat there. That is links to all of our different social medias on this channel, as well as a Google Sites that has our weekly schedule. And so if you guys want to see what times we do games, when we do games, and the games that we do, feel free to check out. And come by tomorrow at 7 p.m. PST while we play Borderlands 1. It'll be me, Ellie, my friend Rogue, and my sister. We're all going to be playing that, and it's going to be hopefully a continuous thing. And also come check out Friday when we do another episode of Shifting Fates. We're going to have my friend Rowena back with us for the first time in several months, and so it will be very fun, and there should be a very exciting moment next episode. So we'll see all of you fine folks when we see all of you guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.